Hello, everyone. Welcome to the EJG3 show. This is your host, Eddie Gallagher. I am here today with Kevin McDermott, and we are going to be talking about round two, recapping round two of the NBA playoffs and previewing the Eastern and Western Conference Finals. Kevin, thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to be here.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hey, let's get started with Knicks Boston series. Uh, Knicks won in 6 games. What was your initial takeaways in that series?
I mean, I definitely thought Boston was going to win. I was with the majority going into that for sure. But after the Knicks went up 2-0, it was going to be tough. But I still honestly would have thought Boston was going to win in 6 or 7. But I mean, when Tatum went down, it's tough to come back from that. And I was kind of hoping they would force a game 7, but going back to the Garden for game 6, I without Tatum too, I figured the Knicks were going to pull it off, and they killed them. It wasn't even fun to watch.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. Look, my biggest takeaways was Boston just was not ready to play, and it's funny. Knicks didn't even beat them in the regular season,
Mm-hmm.
and they just absolutely beat them up in the postseason. Now, I will say this: I don't think Knicks outplayed Boston. I think Boston in the first 2 games beat themselves.
For sure.
Um, but you know what? Sometimes you gotta capitalize on the mistakes, and that's what the Knicks did. Uh,
Agreed.
in the first two games. We know the Celtics were dominant. They're a 3 point shooting team, and they were 25 for 100. And I just was talking to my brother Sam. I'm like, go to the rim, stop jacking up threes. What are you doing? You're bricking them.
That's exactly what I said. Especially after game 1, they missed what it was a NBA record amount of threes, right? And then after game 2, they struggled from three as well. And I kind of put a lot of the blame on Missoula. Like I know that you throughout the regular season you did really well, living and dying by the three, but this is the playoffs. Now you're 2 games behind. You got to make some sort of adjustment, and obviously they came out hot in game 3, so maybe there was some sort of adjustment made, but it was yeah, they couldn't find a three for those
Yeah,
first couple
they,
games.
they couldn't buy a basket. They were bricking everything. Uh, and let's be fair, Boston was up 20 both games,
Yeah,
and it's a long series, but they choked. They choked those
they
two
blew
games.
it. Yeah, they beat themselves for sure. That was well said.
And I mean, I picked Boston to go to the finals, but you know, we know Tatum. He tears his Achilles. We know Brown tore his meniscus, a little tear. Uh, Porzingis was battling an illness, but I don't want to hear excuses. And now we don't know what they're going to do in the future because they already paid Tatum Brown huge money. No, no more no more stacking teams, right? There's like kind of a
Yeah,
gap now in the NBA. So
yeah, that's a good point. It'll be interesting to see what they do in the future because I mean, Derek White's got to get paid, Drew Holiday's got to get paid. Obviously, Tatum and Brown are getting big contracts, so I don't know if that same core that won it last year is going to be back next year. I mean, if they can pull that off, they got a good. They'll be the favorites again probably next year. But yeah, that'll be interesting to see what they do in the offseason.
I mean, we don't know if Tatum will be back next season.
True. Yeah, Achilles is
No,
is
but
no joke.
should they be good? Yeah, they should probably make the playoffs. I mean, pretty much every team in the NBA makes the playoffs.
Yeah.
But uh, yeah, no, very disappointing series. They blew it. They were the overwhelming favorites to win it all, and you know, there's a reason why Jason Tatum did not play that much in the Olympics. Steve Kerr knew he had limitations. And
Yeah.
look, he's a great player. There's no doubt about it. But when these big games, he gets tight. I think, game two, 13 points. That's just unacceptable.
Hmm. from your superstar, you definitely need more. And I also think the Olympics thing, he's kind of tough to fit into a system. Like Devin Booker wasn't what we see in the NBA for Devin Booker, but he fit into the system well. He was making the right passes. Obviously, catch and shoot guy, he's always going to be there. Tatum kind of needs to be the system. He doesn't play well off the ball. So that was definitely, I think, the driving factor behind him not playing in the Olympics. But yeah, you're right. I mean, Steve Kerr, he basically said, I can't put you into these big games for that exact for like you just said, 13 points in game two can't happen.
If you're that guy, you gotta produce, and he didn't. But you know what? Getting back to your point about just what a coaching mismatch. Tom Thibodeau made the adjustments. Joe Mazzulla clearly did not.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I do think players are more important than the coaches. Not that coaching does not like it matters, but I feel like it matters more in football. Uh,
Yeah.
but I just think, bro, you gotta tell your players stop shooting three pointer. And look, a lot of them were wide open shots. They just couldn't buy a bucket. But still, you gotta shoot some mid rangers, get to the basket at least. Get the Knicks in foul trouble.
Yeah. And another thing I didn't like about that series, particularly on Missoula's part, is the fouling Mitchell Robinson. Like I understand, I get it. Like he stinks at free throws. So I understand that mindset, but it's also like play basketball. Why are you so worried about fouling this guy just to send him to the free throw line? Like maybe he misses both, maybe, and then you get the ball back. But I don't know. I didn't like that mindset. I don't like that strategy. I think that takes away from the game itself. And so, yeah, I mean, I think Missoula did a really poor job that series.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm gonna give Jalen Brunson a lot of credit for the series. He didn't play great the first two games, but game four, he was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I think the Knicks' best game was game four and game six. That's really, they outplayed the Celtics in those two games, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, there's a debate, Jalen Brunson versus Tyrese. That's gonna be an interesting matchup. I
Yeah, I'm excited for that one.
I I don't know who's the better player in that series. I would lean more Tyrese, but I believe in the Villanova boys.
Mhm.
Jalen Brunson. He's that dog. Um, it,
Yeah, it's a tough comparison between Halliburton and Brunson because they're just two. I mean, obviously they both play point guard, but they're just completely different players. Like Halliburton is 6'5" and lanky. Brunson, like just from a pure physical standpoint, is 6 foot and kind of stocky. But Brunson does some work in the post. He's got great footwork. Halliburton kind of, he'll drive and hit a floater here and there, step back threes, but great passer as well. So I guess I'd probably have to give the edge to Brunson. I mean, he's proved it this playoffs. He's averaging, I don't know the number, but he's averaging a lot of points, and I'd probably give the edge to him. But the Pacers are tough, man. I hope that game goes to 6 or 7, or I hope that series goes to 6 or 7 games because I think all those are going to be fun to watch.
yeah, no, for sure. I will say watching that series, Indiana Cleveland. I know Darius Garland. He was out with injury most of the series. But man, I just thought Donovan Mitchell. Yeah, he scored a lot of points, but he shot too much.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, way
you know,
too
he doesn't get guys involved. And look, we know he's a terrific scorer, but man, if you don't get guys involved, it hurts. It hurts your team.
Yeah. I said a couple of my buddies from school are Cavs fans, and I said this to them. I don't think that he can be the first option on a championship team because of that. He doesn't really get other people involved. Like, I think he would be great as, you need a guy to go get a bucket, give it to Donovan Mitchell, but he can't be the offense like he was. They had a great regular season. They got a lot of talent on that team with Garland and Mobley, but I think if Mitchell wants to win a championship, I don't either one of those guys needs to step up and be the first option, or he's got to go somewhere else where he's not the number one scoring option.
Yeah, and well, you know, Tyrese Halbert, he stole the Cavs' heart game two, that game winner. Uh,
Yeah.
and like the Cavs and the Celtics, they were up by 20 points, and I believe the first two games, and they just stormed back, and give credit to Indiana and the Knicks. But right now, this NBA, I am not believing in the regular season. I'm not going to do it anymore
Mm-hmm.
because the regular season is telling us they don't care and just don't buy into the stats, don't buy into the standings because that doesn't translate to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Um, yeah, I mean the Cavs won what 65 games or something like that, and get bounced in 5 games in the second round. I mean, it definitely is not a good indicator. Obviously the Cavs weren't 100% healthy, but I don't know. The Pacers looked really good, and the Cavs just didn't. So you're right about that.
Cavs won 64 games, Celtics won 61 games.
Yeah, and look where they are now.
They're out in round two.
Yeah.
Um, Look, I chose the Warriors to come out of the West. I'm that guy who's living in the past. I'm a huge Steph Curry fan. Obviously Minnesota 1-5, but I gotta tell you, it broke my heart seeing Steph out. Was hamstring because I do think that would have been a closer series.
Hmm. I agree. He just has so much gravity. I've seen a lot of videos on it recently, like especially when he was playing with KD. He's running to the corner, two guys go after him. KD is wide open for a dunk or something. So he definitely it's a completely different team without him out there. I know they got Jimmy Butler. I know they got other guys that can score the ball, but yeah, I think you're right. That would have been more than they would have won at least one more game had Curry played.
Yeah, and people were saying that maybe Jimmy quit uh game six, or not game six, game five. He just wasn't really shooting that
Mm,
much. But you know what? He brought energy to that team when he got traded from Miami. But look, the Warriors dynasty is over. I'm
yeah.
saying that right now. The Warriors dynasty is over, and I think it was over when they traded Klay Thompson. Like, because that's a trio. The trio's over.
Yeah, I mean, when a core guy like that of a dynasty goes, it is kind of the nail in the coffin for him. And like you said, I'm a Curry guy too. I would love to see him win one more ring before it's all said and done. But yeah, I don't know. I just there's too much talent in the league now for me to see a realistic path of him getting it done again.
Yeah, no, for sure. Which is sad because I'm a Curry fan, but it seems like it's over. And Draymond's aging. He's not a good offensive player. He got worked by Julius Randle.
Yeah.
In that series. Look, it's over, and you know what? Dynasties don't last forever. And but you know what? Give credit to Minnesota, which, by the way, I'm excited. Back-to-back conference finals.
Hmm.
You know, I talked to Ryan Joyce. We were debating could Anthony Edwards be the new face of the NBA, and guess what? He could. You know, an American domestic player. You don't see the European guys as the face of the league. You
Hmm.
want that domestic player.
Yeah, and he's exciting too. He's got the charisma to be that. Obviously, he's from Atlanta, like as American as it gets. I would love to see him get it done, or at least push his game to, or push this series to 7 games, because the Thunder are really good, man. I mean, they're gonna be a tough team to beat in 7 games. It both in this series and in the next series if they get it done. But agreed. I don't think Shea has the charisma to be. the face of the league, even though he might win MVP this year. I would love to see the Timberwolves get it done and Anthony Edwards really solidify himself as that face of the league.
Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, I didn't really see much. I felt like the Wolves coasted through this series. You know, yes, they have length, but I didn't really see much. The Warriors, I just felt like they were done once Curry was injured, and I wish it went 6 games because I would know what the Timberwolves are. I mean, yes, they beat the Lakers, but Luka doesn't play defense. Old LeBron James, uh, and the Lakers didn't have size, so I wish I saw some more action in that series. But look, it's going to be an interesting series. Thunder um, versus Wolves. Uh, I would give the coaching edge to Minnesota. Um, but yeah, no, SGA is good. The Thunder have more depth. So it's going to be an interesting series.
Yeah, agreed. I'm very curious to see game one tonight and just kind of see because I didn't watch any of their regular season battles this year. I know they had some good games. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be tuned in for game one tonight. And I'll be rooting for Minnesota just because it's nice to see. They're the sixth seed. I like Anthony Edwards. It'd be nice to see Mike Conley make it to the finals. But like I said before, I think the Thunder are really good and they're going to be tough to beat. So
Yeah, no.
should be fun to watch.
Yeah. So you look at the four teams right now. You have the Thunder, you have Minnesota, you have Indiana, and you got New York. A lot of parity. That's what Adam Silver wants. He wants parity.
Yeah,
And that's why you're seeing the dynasties ending. Uh, the only big brand is the Knicks because they're from New York. But a lot of these teams are from small markets. So I think that's good. I think that's good. I don't really love seeing every team, the same team winning the finals over and over and over again. You gotta add a little mix of parity.
yeah, agreed. And I saw a thing earlier. It was the fact that this is going to be the first time in NBA history that 7 years in a row there's been a different franchise winning the finals, and I do think that's great for the game. I mean, like just in years past, obviously you had the Bulls, the Warriors, and Cavs played every single year. It almost became not fun to watch anymore because it was like it's going to be Steph Curry versus LeBron in the finals, and obviously they had some really good battles, but it's nice to see new faces and new franchises in these big games, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's much more fun to watch when it's not Celtics versus Lakers, Warriors versus Cavs. So um, yeah, it'll be good.
You know, uh, I wanna go back to the Nuggets. Nikola Jokic bounces out. Uh, look, I don't think he's big into winning championships. He already has one, but I don't think he's a guy who will be asking out of Denver. You know, I think he will. I think he likes the process. I mean, I feel like there's more pressure Giannis winning another championship than Jokic.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, Jokic, I don't see him going anywhere. He's not the kind of guy to request a trade to try to go win somewhere else. I think he's locked in for Denver for the long haul up until he retires. But I do think that if he was that guy, he would have requested out probably this past year because they won the finals and then they lose KCP, Bruce Brown. Um, those might be the only two big pieces, but they lost their depth, and that's kind of what helped them a lot through that playoff run. Because now they only play. Julian Strother was getting some good minutes towards the end of that Thunder series, but when you only play seven guys, maybe eight guys, it's tough to win these grueling 7 game series. So I would love to see them back. I actually had them winning it all coming into the playoffs. I like Denver, but Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they can at least add one more solidified piece this offseason and make another run at it.
I think I think they're going to trade Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah,
I think to add more depth. Uh, he was a 3-point shooter this season. He wasn't really going to the basket that much, and I think and he's lengthy. He's a lengthy guy, but they just wanted him to shoot 3-pointers, and it also hurt Denver losing Mike Malone, which they fired.
yeah, that's still
When you fire a coach before the playoffs, you don't really have a chance to get to the finals. I mean, yes, or unless you have LeBron James on your team, you're a prime LeBron James. I mean,
yeah,
let's be honest with because of Ty Lue. I mean, I know Ty Lue coached 20, 30 plus games before they won that championship, but still, a week before the playoffs or 2 weeks before the playoffs, that's not a whole lot of time.
yeah. I that was definitely a questionable move by them because at the end of the day, I don't think is ever Mike Malone is the problem. I think they got some internal issues that need to be addressed. I hope Mike Malone lands on his feet somewhere because I think he's a great coach and a great guy. So, but I do think their interim head coach did a good job. Um, I think that he did as well as he could have in that scenario. I mean, they kind of got a tough draw. They go 7 games against the Clippers, and then they got to play against the best team in the NBA. They take them to 7 games. So, um, yeah, I mean that was just a tough scenario for them. But hopefully next year they can figure it out.
Yeah, no, for sure. So the coolest moment is the Garden. I love watching the fans at Madison Square Garden. He had Timothy Chalamet, uh, getting all routed up. Ben Stiller, obviously Spike Lee, uh, but just the fans of New York is great. They're waiting for this moment for a very long time because when we grew up, they were a laughing stock. But
They were
now,
terrible. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, now since Dolan has not been in the way, they've actually been a really really good team. Uh, I just love seeing the fans. They're energized. This team's energized, and it's kind of like an underdog story, to be honest with you.
yeah. I love the atmosphere there too. I think it's great for the game that they made it this far, and they got at the very least 2 more games in Madison Square Garden. So um, yeah, I think it's good for the game. It's good for everybody loves seeing the videos of just outside Madison Square Garden. Everybody's going ballistic. So uh, yeah, and that's going to be a great series too. Couple hard nosed teams. I'm looking forward to that one for sure.
I think the Garden's a true home court advantage
Agreed.
because the fans are just in it, and give credit to them. I mean, yeah, I mean, you have the Thunder. You got Minnesota. Your fans are okay, but the Garden, the Knicks fans, they're crazy.
They're
They're riled up. They're excited. It's gonna be awesome to see game one. What the atmosphere is gonna be like.
mhm.
Okay, I want to get into a little WNBA real quick. Uh,
Okay.
so it just came out. 2.2 million watched the Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark, which that is incredible. I did watch some of that game, and I don't normally watch the WNBA,
Hmm.
but I love that rivalry. I really do. They're two outspoken people. You know, they don't have too much love. I just like rivalries, man.
Hmm. Yeah. It is nice for their industry, having those two coming out the same year. They had some battles in college, um, and obviously now translating to the WNBA. So it is good for that market. I personally, I didn't watch any of that game. I saw the clip of Caitlin Clark fouling Angel Reese, and Angel Reese got up and was ready to throw hands over it.
And by the way, a lot of people are like outraged. Oh, that's a hard foul. Why is Angel Reese attacking Caitlyn? It's like everyone does it. Like men do it all the time. Like I think people
Yeah.
gotta get used to like these women. They're competitors.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. It didn't look like a hard foul, but anytime you get, it was clearly like intentional. Like she was trying to foul her to stop her from getting a layup. Angel Reese went down. So anytime that you fall and obviously we're fouled, there's always that bit of that fire that comes from just being competitive and obviously that little rivalry stems from college too. So I wasn't surprised about it. It didn't look like that hard of a foul. I agree, but when you're between the lines, it feels like a harder foul than it is.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I mean, I'm definitely watching more WNBA because of Caitlin Clark.
Oh,
Um,
for sure.
and I watched more women's college basketball games because of Caitlin Clark. Um, just I think women are getting better. Not that they weren't good before, but I just think they can shoot. They're better passers, and the game's just more exciting. And they trash talk. These women
Yeah.
trash talk.
Caitlin Clark is she's fun to watch because she'll pull from 30 feet. She'll put a triple double on the stat sheet. She's really good. So yeah, I definitely have watched more women's college basketball and a little bit more WNBA than I normally would because of the Caitlin Clark effect. I agree.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I might have said this to you, but I definitely said it on air. Uh, that was a tragedy or a disappointment. That she was not on the Olympic team. I get it, she wasn't maybe the best 15 players, but people are watching her. You put the face of the league on your team. And I just thought that year, that rookie season, you put her on as many times as possible, which the WNBA is doing that right now. I believe she's on the most like on ESPN,
Mhm.
pretty much all of her games. She's must see TV.
Yeah, I was surprised that she didn't make the roster too. And you worded that well. She might not be one of the 15 best players in the league right now, but she's not too far off of that to where you put her on because she is the face of women's basketball right now.
Yeah, no, for sure. Okay, let's go back to the NBA.
All right.
What's your prediction? Knicks, Pacers.
Knicks Pacers. I'm so tempted to say the Pacers, just because I've liked what I've seen out of them. They never quit. They've been down 20 points multiple times, came back and won. They just got a bunch of dogs over there, and obviously they bounced the Knicks last year to go to the Eastern Conference Finals, so they've been there before. I would love to say Pacers in 6 or 7, but man, the Knicks are. I just think the Knicks are the better overall team. I think the Knicks get it done in. It'd be nice to see it go to 7 so that they can win it in the Garden. So I'll say Knicks in 7.
Okay. I'm going. I think Tyrese Halliburton is a better player. Um, I think he's the best player on the court. I'm gonna go Pacers in 6.
I love it.
I think Pacers in 6 because I do think the Knicks they just haven't played great basketball. I mean, they didn't look good versus the Pistons. They didn't look good versus the Celtics. I just felt like the Celtics kind of blew that series. So I'm going Pacers. I think the Pacers have the dominant in their first 2 rounds. So that's why I'm saying Pacers in 6.
Okay. I
Um,
like that too because the Knicks have had 2 tough series so far. Like Detroit beat them up. The Celtics, are not going to go down easy. They're the defending champions, and now they got to go against another hard nosed team that's only played 10 games as opposed to 12 games that the Knicks have. So, I wouldn't be at all surprised to see the Pacers win, but I gotta stick with the first instinct and go Knicks in 7.
Okay. What's your prediction? Minnesota first Thunder.
Jeez, these are both going to be good series, I think. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Minnesota in 6 because I like their depth. They got two guys coming off the bench that would start on most teams. I like Anthony Edwards a lot. Obviously, Shea's the MVP, but I like Anthony Edwards in the playoffs. And they, like I said with the Pacers, I didn't take the Pacers, but the Timberwolves were there last year. They obviously got bounced by Luka and the Mavericks, but I think they're coming back and they're ready to go. They're ready to play against the Thunder, and I think the Timberwolves are going to pull it off in 6.
Yeah, yeah. This is a tough series for me. Because I think I want Anthony Edwards to get to the finals. I want him to be in the Garden, even though I picked Indiana to win that series. I just think if Minnesota and Knicks meet up, that would be a great finals
Be
matchup.
incredible, yeah.
Um, I'm going Thunder in 7.
Okay.
I think they just win at home. I think it just comes down to home court advantage, to be honest with you. But look, we'll see. I was wrong. I was wrong. I thought the Lakers were going to beat Minnesota. I thought the Warriors were going to beat Minnesota. So Minnesota has proved me wrong in the first few rounds. So let's see if they can do it again in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, yeah. It's gonna be fun to watch. I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Can't wait. Hey, we're about to wrap up. Thank you for coming on the show, and fans, go listen to Kevin McDermott. This has been a wonderful show.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, see you soon.
Sounds good. See you, Eddie.